Hi, I'm Stephen Greenhut, Director of the Free Cities Center, a project of the Pacific Research Institute. We look at market-based solutions and even some big government solutions to homelessness and other urban problems. I'm standing at a lot here in South Sacramento County, a vacant lot across the street from the county's recently opened Safe Stay Communities. It's a tiny home neighborhood with about 100 little houses we'll be touring. And the goal is to get people off the streets quickly. Under the state's Housing First policies, you could be on a waiting list for years to get permanent, stable housing. And those projects cost, what, $500,000 to $800,000 apiece. So the idea is to get people off the street, get them into some cost-effective tiny homes.
Hi, Steve. My name is David Silvera. I'm the Regional Program Manager for CityNet, and I oversee the Florence Safe Stay Shelter.
And this shelter opened, was that in August? Was the ribbon cutting?
This shelter, the ribbon cutting was August 14th. We took in our first client on August 21st.
And how many are here now?
We have 71 clients now.
Okay, and it's a variety of single occupancy and...
It is. We have 100 tiny cabins here. We have 75 singles and 25 doubles, so our maximum occupancy here is 125 clients.
And what's the process for getting sheltered here? I saw at the front there's no walk-ins, right?
Right, there's no walk-ins, so the county worked with the neighbors, and basically when people have a shelter open up in their neighborhood, they're concerned that it might be a magnet for homeless people. So what they did is they created a 2.5-mile circumference around here, and they partnered up with a couple of different organizations, and they work as navigation teams. So they go out and they meet the homeless out there, and they refer them into the shelter here. It is a evolving process where you really have to establish a relationship. As much as people want help out there, they're nervous about shelters. I will say the fact that these are cabins is a big draw for people. A lot of people do not want to be in a congregate shelter, so they're more comfortable with this. But sometimes it takes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 interactions with the navigation team to create that trust in order for them to be willing to come in.
And is the navigation team, are they out there all the time, or is it just on occasion?
No, they're out there. They have dedicated teams that are out there establishing these relationships and staying in touch with the clients out there.
And are they county employees or?
Nope, they're nonprofit organizations.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's some double units here, right? So that if it's a couple, right, there's a place for them?
Correct. We have 75 singles and 25 doubles, and that has been a big draw for a lot of couples who are resistant. If you go into a congregate shelter, it's going to be divided between men and women. So if you're a couple that's a man and a woman, you're going to be reluctant to go in, whereas here we have double cabins that you can live in together.
I also saw there's a dog park. So pets are a big deal, right? A lot of people aren't going to go to a shelter if they can't bring their dog.
One of the best things that happened with low barrier shelters was allowing pets in. So we have 71 clients now. We have 20 dogs and 2 cats, and we have a giant dog park over there for the dogs to run around, and I suppose the cats if they want to as well.
Oh, what do you do about people with drug addiction issues? You say low barrier, do they come in and get help, or how does that work?
They come in and get help. The low barrier part means that, you know, in the past there used to be drug testing at some shelters. So there's no drug testing here. It's all behavioral based. So, you know, we don't want you to do drugs. We don't encourage it. But if you have a drug problem and you go out and you use drugs and you come in here and you're well behaved, we're going to help try and get you connected to some NA programs, to some AA programs, to some sober living if you're up for it. But yeah, part of our job, an important part of our job, is connecting with clients out there who have been in survival mode and letting them know when they come in here and what we call they sort of decompress and they can start planning on their lives, we help get them connected to services that they hadn't been open to when they were homeless.
And I saw as we came in, I saw a very nice, but a security guard who I wouldn't want to mess with. So how
Scott is one of our larger security guards. Yes,
that's part of the whole thing of being a safe community,
part of coming in is we want everyone to feel safe in here. So he handles it very well, despite the fact he's very big and he's in a uniform that can be intimidating. He very much uses a trauma-informed care approach, and he approaches people and just lets them know from a health and safety standpoint. We just want to make sure no one brings in a weapon or no one brings in anything that could do harm to anyone here. So he will do a search of their belongings and a search of their body just to make sure that they're safe.
Any security problems since you've opened?
We have not. I mean, occasionally, because this area has been, the surrounding area has been a tried and true spot for the homeless. We do get some people camping out there, but we go out and we engage with them and we talk to them about trying to connect with navigation partners out there so they can come in and utilize our services.
Now, what's the length of stay, expected length of stay here?
So it really varies so much from person to person. What we tell our clients on intake is we put together a housing plan for you and we will assess that plan every 30 days. I mean, as you can imagine, most of the people in here are chronic homeless people. So they've been homeless a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. So first thing you have to do is get somebody document ready if you're going to move into housing. You need your ID, you need your social security card, homeless certification, and then it depends from person to person. So I would say it could be anywhere from 60 days to 9 months, depending upon what the person's needs are. And as long as the person is here and engaged with their case manager and working on the plan, we're not going to ask anybody to leave.
And the services, what are some of the services you provide?
So we have some great services here. We connect with County Behavioral Health Services. They come in every Monday and they meet with clients and they assess their mental health needs and they connect them to a higher level of care if they need that. UC Davis comes out once a month to assess people's physical needs, connect them to a primary care physician if they need that. The county animal shelter comes out here because, as we said, we have many pets out here. Who else do we connect with?
You help them with documents, right? That's got to be a separate.
We help them with documents, but that's usually not here. We're giving people rides to the DMV or giving people rides to Social Security Administration. UEI partners with us here. They're a trade school down the street, and so we can connect some of our folks to that. We work with our clients to help them put their resumes together, help them search for jobs. We have a little, when you go in the community room, you'll see a little career center there with a couple of computers.
Okay, and you do give people rides if they need to go to the doctor or something like that?
We do. Those would be specialized rides. This is not a walk-in, walk-out shelter, so we have a shuttle van that goes out and takes people to a location down the street with bus and light rail connections there. So those leave on a regular scheduled basis and clients sign up for that. If they have a special need to go to the doctor or a different appointment, they'll work with their case manager and we'll arrange transportation.
And when you say it's not walk in, walk out, if someone's staying here and they want to go leave and visit a friend or take a walk, do they have to, what do they do, sign out? Or?
If their friend comes in a vehicle to pick them up, that's okay. If they don't, they have to take a shuttle to the designated place and meet their friend there. It was an agreement that was made with the neighbors that were concerned about bringing a population that would then hang out in the area.
What have been your interactions with the neighborhood since you've opened up?
It's been really positive. What I've found in this shelter and other shelters I've been involved with is there is a fear of a homeless shelter opening up. There's a fear of what the homeless will be in the neighborhood. But the good news is when people come inside and when they see what the homeless are like, once they come in and they settle down and they're not in survival mode, they really get a different perspective on the homeless.
My name is Jana Haynes. I'm a public information manager with the Sacramento County Department of Homeless Services and Housing.
And we're at one of the bigger units here, right? The two-person unit.
So this is our double occupancy unit. We accept identified couples. So it could be a romantic couple. It could also be an adult child with a parent. Nobody under 18 can be here, but there are people family members who are sheltering together that if they wanted to occupy the same unit, we have that available for them.
Oh, okay. Show us some of the features.
Yeah, so originally these pallet doors came with key locks, but that just kind of presents a problem with having to change locks or manufacture keys. So we actually switched them out to the code lock. So when occupants come in, they get their own code. And then we also have a master code so staff can access in an emergency. And then we wrap them with these gorgeous blue wraps that has the County Wave logo on it, just to add some color to the community. So come on in.
Okay.
So it's obviously very similar to the single occupancy room, but instead of one bed, we now have 2 beds, 2 shelves. Everybody gets their towel and their kind of shower caddy. And, still some of the same safety features. We have our smoke detector and our fire extinguisher in the unfortunate event that there was some kind of a fire or smoke situation. And then the same heating and cooling controls, power units so that people can plug in their phones, and then still ample floor space for pets, possessions. Everybody gets bins to put their stuff under their beds. And so
Do these flip up also, or these?
yeah, so these all flip up. They actually have these keys that can lock them up to the wall. So in the event that people want the extra space to move around when they're not using it to sleep, they can put them up against the wall and lock them in.
And air conditioning because it's Sacramento County.
Yes. Well, and obviously these are aluminum. And
Yeah.
so without any kind of heating control, this could become, a hot or cold box in the extreme weather. And so it's really important to us that we provide people with, safety and comfort. That's one of the main reasons people will say yes to a situation like this, is because it provides them with some of the comforts of a real home, but is a nice transitional piece from being out on the street. That it's important that they have access to sanitation and showers so that they can upkeep their appearance. We work with clothing closets to get clothing in here, hopefully some professional wear for people that may be out searching for jobs. And so that's just some of the basic stabilization that happens here that people may not think about. It's not just about getting people food and clean and sober. We're trying to set people up to move on with the next phase of their life. And that includes, for some people, going and getting a job, stabilizing their income so that maybe they could purchase a car so they can get to work. And so there's a lot of other things that happen here that help stabilize people and then move them on to the next level. So the manufacturer that we used for this particular site is Pallet Homes. We picked this vendor because they have some very successful sites that we have toured in other places in California. And in addition to that, you spoke with David, our provider from CityNet. CityNet and Pallet have worked together to run some successful units just like this in Southern California. And so we really wanted, for our first project, to make sure that we had a proven product that we know works, and then a provider that knows how to run a community like this. And so there are several providers now that manufacture tiny homes like this. And in the future, we may use a different provider. But for our first two sites, we went with the pallet model. These individual structures were put together in just a few hours. This entire 100 unit site went up in less than a week. And so that's one of the benefits of them, is not only are they quick and efficient, but we can actually break them down and move them to another site if we wanted to reuse them.
Now, was a separate contractor do the site development and concrete and all those?
Yeah, so the concrete pad was actually here. One of the benefits of this site, this used to house a grocery store many, many years ago, and the concrete footprint was here. And so it required very little work to actually bring these in. And then our Department of General Services did a lot of the contracting and infrastructure work, and then contracted out some of the things that they don't do in order to get this site energized, plumbed. We actually plumbed water into the bathroom units instead of bringing on something temporary. We worked with SMUD, our local energy provider, to get all of these cabins energized, get a transformer up on this site. And so a lot of infrastructure work had to go into this site. You can't just slap these on here and have them work.
Yeah, now the project had a number of delays, right?
It
so
did.
It was like a year beyond what was originally intended. So it sounded like there were a variety of problems. Could you maybe address
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. So we first came to the board with this project in April of 2022, and the intent was to get it up and running within 3 to 4 months. In 2022, we were still suffering the consequences of supply chain issues, staffing shortages, left over from the COVID pandemic. And so we had our first delay was that our board asked us to do some additional outreach into the community. We had some pretty vocal community members, businesses and schools and things around the area that were concerned about bringing in a large homeless related project into the area. And so we spent an additional 6 weeks doing community outreach, holding community meetings, coming up with a good neighbor policy, promising to form a community oversight committee. And those 6 weeks that bought us the approval for the project actually compounded in the supply chain ordering and the contractor secured. And so The 6-week delay in that front time frame actually delayed us several months on the back end because we had to wait to order supplies. We had to wait to hire general contractors. And so we ended up having months and months of delay, not only in the procurement of materials, but in the building permit process and just the things that you need to do to set up an organization like this. And so where we had thought that we were going to welcome people in November, and then in the springtime, we ultimately didn't end up bringing people in until August. So it was like, a 16, 18-month project.
How were you able to win over the neighbors?
Through a variety of things. I think opening ourselves up to talking with them, having them talk to our provider, CityNet, on the success that they've seen in the neighborhoods that they've done these projects in. Not only does it help the people in here, but it cleans up the immediate neighborhood. We promised that we would bring people in this immediate neighborhood. So not only do you stabilize the people here, but now you're cleaning up tents, you're cleaning up trash, you're cleaning up possible drug use out on the sidewalks. And that benefits everyone, not just the people we're serving, but the neighborhood that this site sits in. Forming that community oversight committee, we have people from the neighborhood, from the PBID, from the local historic location on this committee in conjunction with county staff and board of supervisors, so that we can all communicate about what's happening at this site. Are there any problems? Are there asks that the neighborhood has of us that we can address to make this site more successful overall?
Yeah, 'cause that's one of the things I thought of when I heard about community opposition, is that you're specifically targeting the homeless in this area, right?
Yes.
You're not bringing them from far afield,
Right.
right?
So I think the concern was that if we set up any kind of a homeless shelter, that it would attract people from other areas. And it's not that that isn't true, but we have a no camping near shelter ordinance, so we can't have people congregating outside the fence here. But we have outreach workers out every single day talking to people and asking them if they want to come in here, and vetting whether people are qualified or not. One of the other things that we agreed to for this particular site is that we wouldn't have anyone that comes in with a violent felony on their record, and we wouldn't have anybody that is a sex offender come into this site. So everyone is background checked, so we can check for those things. And that may not be true of every single site that we set up, but it is true of this site because we're in proximity to some schools and to a daycare that's across the street. And so that was something really important for the neighborhood to put their support behind this project.
Now, have you had to work with the the sheriff's department in the area, or has there been any?
We haven't had, fortunately, we haven't had any major incidents here, but we, obviously our sheriff's department, and because we're butted up against the city of Sacramento, the Sacramento PD, fire, they're all very aware of this site here. We work with the mental health providers in the area, not just Sacramento County's behavioral health unit, but we have nonprofit partners, WellSpace and Elica, that provide medical services, behavioral health services, that are also in here partnering with us to address the needs of the clients in here. Behind us here is one of our ADA accessible combo shower and bathroom units. So one of the things that we know about the population that we're serving is that there are a lot of people that have disabilities that make mobility difficult for them, whether they're in an actual wheelchair or they have a walking unit. And so we wanted to ensure that this site was ADA accessible for people that are experiencing homelessness that also have mobility issues. So we have 2 ADA shower and bathroom combinations. Obviously, you can see that there's a ramp up there, but then we also have ADA accessible units. Now, while the lip of the units isn't that much, you can't necessarily roll a wheelchair over it. So we have these units that we built ramps onto, that we built railing onto, so that people could easily access them, both double units and single units.
So, Shannon, where are we?
Yeah, so this is our community room. There's a lot of things that happen in this room. The main one is the 3 meals a day are served in here. We bring in food from an outside vendor and actually serve it in here. We don't have a kitchen to cook on site. And then people can do activities in here too. We have an activity board where they do bingo, yoga, sometimes they show movies. Around the outside of this, there are rooms for staff to do case management. So if you're going to meet with your behavioral health clinician or do some kind of a medical assessment, you can do that inside these rooms. And then, this is just a place where people can gather as well for that sense of community.
Computer access?
Yeah, there's a computer lab back here. There's 2 computers where people can search for jobs or fill out an application or something that they need to do that maybe is not as easy to do on their phone. So we have that available. And then this was beautifully decorated for the Halloween holiday by UEI College, which is a trade school that's down the street here that kind of adopted us for this project. So that just kind of adds some fun and flair to the community room.
And I wanted to ask you about the state is embarking on a similar program to build. The governor talked about building 1,200 of these units. It's kind of delayed too. It's been 7 months, and
yes,
I don't know if they've taken a look at this project, whether this is somewhat of a model.
They have taken a look at this project as well as some of the projects that our operator CityNet runs in Southern California. Sacramento is going to be the beneficiary of 350 of those 1,200 tiny homes. We've already identified and announced one of the sites, at least, that probably 175 to 200 of those will go on in conjunction with a large behavioral health campus that WellSpace has down the street. It's a 13-acre campus, so there's going to be a lot of different things co-located, including about 175 of these tiny homes. Sacramento County will operate that site just like we operate this site. And it's in partnership with the city of Sacramento because it's actually in their jurisdiction and is one of the outcomes of our city-county partnership that we put together to address homelessness in the city of Sacramento.
I know. Shanna, we're at the dog park, and as I understand it, I mean, a lot of people are reluctant to go into any sort of shelter situation if they can't take their pets.
That's right. Long gone are the times where shelters cannot accept pets. We know from experience and just with you can see it with your naked eye, pets are incredibly important to people, just like they are to people that are housed, not only for safety, but for companionship. People have pets. A lot of dogs are living unhoused with their people, and people will say no to stability if they cannot bring their pet in. And we absolutely want to make sure that we're accommodating pets. We have 20 dogs and 2 cats on site right now, and we expect those numbers to go up. And so accommodating their pets is really important to us. So this is a dog park. It's a work in progress. Right now it's functional in the sense the dogs can go in, they can run and play, they can relieve themselves. But ultimately, we want to make this ADA accessible as well. We're actually going to pave the entrance and put a platform where people that may be in a wheelchair or a walker can go and still take their pet in here. We'd like to get some grass in here, some shade, a water dispenser, just like you would see at any dog park, because not only do we have a lot of pets here, but they need somewhere to go. They need somewhere to exercise and run and play. And that's something that we want to offer to them here.
We appreciate the tour and all your time. And
absolutely. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.